perfect. I must have it.
Sadly, sir, you can't.
What do you mean can't?
It's illegal, sir. This fish is protected by the great state of California.
Give me it.
You know, first of all, we are doing this for her, okay? Because neither one of us wants to get divorced. And secondly, I know you're the big marriage experts. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Your wife is dead.
Oh, they've got a class on how to write jokes.
Oh, don't take that. I dropped it after the lesson on setups. The professor is so old.
It's the Al Travis Show, and I will make no apologies for where this goes in the next half hour because we've got Representative Walter Hudson on with us. How are you doing, sir?
Great start to another week.
It was the end of last week that got me, but I can't wait for you to be here. We've had fraud. We talk fraud. You get tired of the fraud. People get confused what fraud we're talking about. The story that was big this last week was an op-ed written by Jim Nobles, the former legislative auditor for the state of Minnesota. Legislative auditor. Guy down the middle. His job is to be nonpartisan, yada, yada. And as I understand it, tell me if I'm wrong, somebody sees something. Let's say Representative Walter Hudson says, Jiminy, this autism thing we set up was $3 million the first year, and by the fourth year, it's at $100 million. I would like Jim to go take a gander at it and just make sure everything's on the up and up. I mean, that's how this starts, right? He doesn't just go find his own stuff. So he goes and takes a gander, and he goes, oh, goodness, something seems awry here. So they write a report. This report says what they found, and then they also say, here's some tips on how to fix it, right? Am I wrong so far? Have I got anything wrong? Okay. The story comes out with him on Friday, going out of his way. He doesn't work here anymore. He went out of his way, this guy who's been non-partial this whole time, to write this article, to say straight up, they've done this, they did this 10 years ago, and did it in his term. They'd go up and say, we've got the report on this. And he was literally told, no, we're not going to have that report be done in committee. We're not going to have it read out loud in front of the world, and maybe the paper's going to see it or whatever. Sir, we pay to have an OLA. We all pay. We pay to have you, hey, if something's up, take a look. We pay them to do the report. We pay them to come back. They come and say, here's our answer. And then the answer is no, thank you. That can't possibly be how it's been working in the state of Minnesota. Cannot.
Well,
tell me where I'm wrong.
No, you're not. That's exactly how it works. And what that tells you, that gives you the answer to the question that was raised by why a statewide office of attorney or inspector general, a statewide office of inspector general with actual police power and teeth was negotiated in bicameral and bipartisan fashion, passed by the Senate by all but I believe like 7 votes. So you're talking like 60 votes. People voted for it. Cross party lines. And then it got to the House and not a single Democrat would vote for it. Because in similar fashion, the word came down from on high. The word came down from on high. We're not going to actually fix this problem. Are you kidding me?
So this is the on high. Okay, I'm going to rip the Star Trib something. They want to be Minnesota's Star Trib instead of Minneapolis. Great. You're in Minnesota now. This is me out here. How in the world is the very next story after you printed this in your paper not to list the names of those that said no thank you? That said, I'm the committee chair for this, and we're not going to have it in committee. How is that not the next story? The only name we got was Melissa Hortman. She's passed. God bless her soul, but she's passed. No one's going to lose a vote there. How is this story not coming out? Who said no thank you?
Well, I mean, listen, we know, right? Like we don't have to we don't need the Star Tribune to figure this out. All right, it's really
we know the side, but I'm sorry. Other than you, who works there, and maybe I should take the time to go see who is the head of the Human Services Department. I could go do that. Joe, average guy's going to work today, driving his car here and this, and that can't be true. Al doesn't believe it's true, but it is true. He's not going to look it up. So why is it on the front page of the Star? And here's the one that really gets me, is that in one of these things, she said she knew, Hortman had known, that the chair people were told not to publish those reports. Well, she's in charge, and they're in charge of the committee, so who's above them to tell them not to do it? I can only think of one name, but the Star Trib isn't going after that, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's Tim Walz.
Well, how can you sit there with your face like that? I'm ready to go through the screen at you right now. This cannot be the way Minnesota works. And then we all sit here lost in fraud. It's too complicated for me. It's not complicated. We actually paid people to come up with the answer, and then we said, don't bring me the answer. I don't like it.
Yeah, because they're not actually paid to give you the answer. They're paid to make it look like we're interested in the answer. That's their job, is to make it look like we have checks and balances, and we've got these processes for making sure things are on the up and up. It's all an illusion. It's all theater, and it has been for the 2 decades that Democrats have been in charge of the state.
Okay. And can we throw racism real quick? I like to throw this. I love the people, man. According to this guy, Melissa Ortman, she was with Human Services. She acknowledged some of her members of her caucus are upset. They felt that OLA reports subjected Human Services programs to too much criticism, particular programs administered by Somali communities and organizations. Now, if the OLA went after Somali communities and organizations and tried to find problems, that would be a problem. But the fact there was a problem and it happens to be centered here, I don't care if it's the Catholic community, I don't care if it's the Lutheran, whoever's doing the wrong, we didn't want to stop it because it would look like we went after them. It was cart in front of the horse. There's a problem in this program. Go find out what it is. Oh, you know what? It seems to be centered in this group of folks. Okay, go get them. If it's the mafia, what do I care? This is a horrible excuse not to check into something.
Yeah, but it's an effective excuse.
What?
It's an excuse that worked for years and years. Literally for years, they were able to fend off any pretense at serious investigation just by raising the specter of potentially being accused of being racist for taking a look at it. That's how powerful that absurd piece of rhetoric is. That's how afraid people are of being called racist and labeled racist. You can create an entire network of corruption and fraud. And as long as you do it with somebody who's high up on the intersectional totem pole in terms of who gets to be the strongest victim class, you can get away with it, right? Like, I mean,
well, evidently. This is striking to me. I would be just as mad if, like, say, the Lutheran Brotherhood group got it. And I'm not, if they were in the center of something we found, clean it up. I don't care. It makes no never mind to me. But now we go back. None of this has been found out by our Attorney General. We pay a guy to take care of the. Don't laugh. Why are you laughing at me? The U.S. Attorney General. You keep laughing. I'm so off the top mad. And now we got a guy running for governor again, who I believe is this guy. I don't know that, but it turns out he's the guys that don't broadcast this stuff. He wants another run at it. What's to stop him?
The people of Minnesota. Listen, what's to stop him is the anger that you're feeling right now of all this stuff coming to light, and the very clear pattern of behavior and reaction and response that is indicative of deep, no holds barred corruption going all the way to the tippity top of the Walz administration, including Walz himself and Ellison himself directly involved. Look, you either want that or you don't, right? That's Minnesota's choice. You either want that or you don't. And fortunately, you have the opportunity to decide.
You and your smile are going to drive me crazy today. But I think the average Joe who's just got to get to work and get home and get to the Boy Scout meeting and do this stuff, doesn't have time to bust this all down. Shame on I don't even wrap a little on the Republicans if I can. So the OLA does a report, and get it, they're not going to put it in the committee meeting, but cannot a Republican get that report? It's got to be published somewhere. He wrote it, it's there. Why did the Republicans not, well, I don't know where you put it. How did we not have that out there for me to read and say, wait a minute? You know what I'm saying? Is there some way of doing that the other way around? If OLA report's going to be sidelined, well, the Star Trib's not going to publish it, obviously.
Yeah, that's a acute question. It really is. Because the fact of the matter is, we have relentlessly made reference to the OLA reports. The fraud committee has had entire hearings about OLA reports. And what happens is the Democrats poo-poo it. They pretend that they've already reacted appropriately to it and everything's. I mean, you go back to 2023, okay, when I first got in, we were having conversations about OLA reports in the Children and Families Committee that was chaired by Dave Pinto at the time. And he would poo-poo it, say that's old news. We've already made fixes. Walls is fantastic. Nothing to see here. That was then. This is now. And that was 3 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Think of all the stories that have come out since, and no reporting on any of it. I mean, that's the thing. So a lot of what Republicans say and do simply doesn't get covered. Did you know that Steve Simon had articles of impeachment brought up against him? That's the first time you're hearing about it. Yeah.
What? This is you're good radio. No, we're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. It'll be much better for all the commercial people. Seriously? Oh my God.
Yes.
I might have a heart attack today, and you're going to do it with a smile on your face. Back after this, Representative Walter Hudson. Seriously.
When the stakes are high at the Minnesota Capitol, you need more than a lobbyist. You need a partner. At Momentum Advocacy, we bring nearly 90 years of combined experience in government relations, public affairs, and strategic communications. From nonprofits to national corporations, we help organizations navigate Minnesota's political landscape with integrity, insight, and results. Whether you need legislative champions or headlines, Momentum Advocacy delivers. For more, visit momentum-advocacy.com. Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put out the perfect barbecue flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. Add it to your ribs, dip the meatballs, or drench your wings in the original flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. It isn't too hot or spicy, fruity or smoky or whatever. Grandpa's Barbecue. Available in select stores and online at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
Easily offended? The Al Travis Show is not for you. The Al Travis Show. All sides are welcome.
Just when I think I know what's going to go on my own program, I don't have a clue. I thought the big story was going to be all this going on with the OLA. And then Representative Walter Hudson brings up a fascinating idea that quite possibly Secretary of State Steve Simon was brought up for what?
Impeachment. And you want to know just how old that news is? This happened in 2021. It was my direct predecessor, who is now the senator from my district, Eric Lucero.
Yep.
And it followed the 2020 election when it was found that Steve Simon had indeed broken election law, by accepting this consent decree that enabled him to administer the 2020 election in a variety of manners that went counter to state law. That was the whole point of the lawsuit that was brought against him by a friendly Democrat-oriented group that would just so happen to be suing him in order to get him to do what he said he wanted to do. And the legislature said no, in bipartisan fashion, by the way. And the reason why this is shocking news to you is because nobody told you. It wasn't reported. Nothing happened with it. It didn't go anywhere.
Lucero filed it, but I presume because you were down in numbers, it never went anywhere, so the paper just said, never mind.
Well, yeah, just completely ignoring it. But that's newsworthy, right?
It would make the paper any other way. Yes, absolutely.
Right. And so my point is, when you say, and when I hear this all the time from folks, in fact, Lucero and I were up at a town hall in Brainerd a couple of weeks ago, and we were fielding the exact same criticism. People were like, "Wow, you guys never do anything. You guys are just sitting there. You're ineffective." And it's like, listen, you don't know what we're doing because nobody's telling you.
And it's just so wild to me in a day and age when we have the internet and all the rest, that there isn't someone out there running, even if I get you don't want to make paper, right? Paper and ink and all. I get it. You tell me there isn't somebody in the news world in Minnesota that can't do this on the internet to keep people informed. That to me is just an amazing story. I did not know that.
Well, if it happened today, we'd hear about it from Alpha News, and we'd hear about it on X, and we'd hear about it everywhere. I mean, keep in mind, the development of independent media and alternative media has really exploded in the last few years. So it's much harder for them to play this game, which is why we're now talking about all this stuff. I mean, for Jim Noble, the nonpartisan former OLA, to come up with the article that he came out with in the Star Tribune, we read it today, and again, he's delivering old news. Like, all of this stuff was on paper, all of this stuff was known, right? But the reason why it comes as a shock to everybody is because nobody was reporting it as it happened. Now they can't get away with that because there's too many eyes on the problem, and those eyes have access to platforms. And so the times have changed.
But they're still massaging it. Like, say, you put this in your paper under the commentary section. People read the commentary section. Wouldn't any news organization worth their salt say, what are the unanswered questions here? Who are the people that were in charge of those committees? Now, I, again, could go look, but maybe I should. But Joe Average guy's not going to do it. Who's the other guy? Hortman says she did, however, acknowledge that the House committee chairs had been instructed not to give OLA reports fraud. Well, who would tell the chair and the speaker, don't do this? Well, who's got that moxie? Wouldn't they go look that up and try to, that would be a real story, but it didn't come out. It didn't come out this week. It didn't come. So even with you saying things are changing a bit, it's not. You can keep a lot of people blind by not answering the questions that would really shake this up.
Or by not asking them in the first place. Yeah, exactly. No. But listen, I think that I suspect that there is some reliance on people taking the ball and running with it in the alternative media, right? Like what we're doing right here, right now, having the conversation and asking those questions. Now, is that as effective as the Star Tribune having a front page story about how Tim Walz gave this order? No, we're not there yet, but we wouldn't see this story at all 2, 3, 4 years ago. So,
but it's like when he gets back in and says, we're going to go after fraud now, and I want an independent, officer of independent, whatever. And it's like, oh, that's great, because that's what we've been talking about on this program, except his was just a scotch different. He wanted that independent auditor to report to him, and that's the problem we have here. But the paper didn't mention that. They didn't say, oh, by the way, it sounds the same, but it's not. It's completely different. People don't, I'm so sorry people don't have the time to dig into all this stuff. They just don't. It's too crazy, too deep, too in the woods. I need you yelling at the top of your lungs. That's what I need.
It's not that far in the woods. and it's kind of it sticks out like a sore thumb amongst the trees. You know, it's kind of like a scarecrow dressed up like a clown. It's pretty easy to spot. So, you know, I think that there's an opportunity in next year's election to really bring things to light, or to highlight things that have already been brought to light, and to just kind of point at stuff and be like, oh, look at that. See that? Look at this. What? Yeah. And you're right. I mean, even when I went up this week to Roseau, up at the tippity top of Minnesota, and spoke to a room full of Republicans and asked them if they had heard of this, that, or the other thing. And they hadn't, right? Like U.S. Joe Thompson's press conference where he disclosed the full extent of the fraud. Like, nobody had watched that. The most recent thing, or the audio of Keith Ellison talking to the Feeding Our Future defendants. How many people have heard that audio? Like 2 hands out of 150 went up, right? So even amongst those who claim to be plugged in and have their ear to the ground, there is a broad lack of knowledge about what's actually happening in Minnesota. But that creates a tremendous opportunity to inform people.
Good point. Sir, I am out of time. Wow. What a half an hour. Did not go the way I thought it was going to go. I appreciate you a ton. I really do. Keep up yelling and keep on screaming. We'll keep having you on. We're going to try to get somehow to people know what's going on here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem.
He's Representative Walter Hudson on the Al Travis Show.